delivery. Brake disc and pads for the Volvo. And another delivery. New drive shaft for the Volvo. I got plenty of bellows, but the drive shaft's got 148,000 miles, so I expect some wear. These are pretty cheap ones, but what I'm gonna do, I'll fit them, so I'm okay for now, because it will fail at the MOT anyway, because the bellows are cracked. So I'm gonna fit those, and then probably put new joints on mine, because they are, yeah, I think they're a little bit worn. The whole lot was 120 pounds or something like that, so $150, 2 drive shafts. And because the 2.4 liter, everything is a little bit more expensive. For the smaller engines, the long one is only, I think, 50, but this was 80. Packaging was not super exciting. Look at that. Not as it should be. Let me pull that out. I got a strong feeling these are the wrong ones, because as far as I remember, they have a bolt here normally. Need to double check that, but I think that's the wrong one. Well, yeah, look at this one, it's got a bolt, and this one's got a nut. Oh, I'm pissed off, yeah. Yeah, because I was wondering about the ABS ring here. Shit packaging, wrong drive shaft. Great. So yeah, this one looks good. Even if it looks a bit different on this side, I measured it and everything seems to be the right dimension, sort of. We'll see. If it fits. The bearing has a groove on this one. On the new one there is no groove, but the diameter and the width is the same, so it might fit. Same here. It was completely dry. I had a bit of a hard time to get it out. Well, we're still on the drive shafts here. Look at that. This is longer and the diameter here is larger. So I thought, okay, let's make a spacer here, because apparently they only have this one, which is very likely from a manual gearbox. The problem is the whole drive shaft is about 7 or 8 millimeters longer, which causes you different problems. So I found another supplier which hopefully supplies me a matching drive shaft by tomorrow. It was about double the price. Don't know if it's double as good, but these guys are absolutely useless. So right hand one was wrong, replaced. Looks about okay, I still haven't fitted it. Left hand one, sorry, camera was running out of battery. Yeah, right hand one, as I said before, right hand one was wrong, they replaced it. Now I've got something which looks like it's gonna be fitting. I'm not entirely sure right now. This one may fit, but you need that larger diameter here, otherwise it wobbles in the transmission. And yeah, it may fit, but you're gonna damage your outer bearing in transmission, and the whole thing wobbles around. So that's why I thought I'm gonna make a sleeve to get the right diameter, but it's not gonna work because it's too long, and then it's binding when the suspension compresses. The drive shaft's getting shorter and it's bottoming out. You don't want that either. Again, I can't recommend this, guys. There is nothing good to say. If the other one arrives and fits and is good quality, I'm gonna mention these guys, the other guys. Hopefully they're a bit more promising. Anyway, we need to get it reassembled because the car is still on jack stands and I need it. It's just ridiculous. I'm 2 weeks into this job here and it's just not stopping. So we're back on the drive shaft drama. It turned out that this drive shaft is definitely too long. It's 7 millimeters too long. It's for a manual transmission. The serrations are for a manual transmission. This is from a different supplier. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh dear, same shit. But it's not. It's actually the same length. It's 520 millimeters, completely compressed, as my old one. So the dimensions sort of correct, but we need to make a spacer which represents this one here. So we need to check how far this actually goes. I think it only goes that far. There's an O-ring in the gearbox to prevent from water going into it. As long as this diameter here is the same, it would fit like it is. The problem is there's no support and water can go into it. And if there is no support, because this outer rings rotates as well, the drive shaft may wobble and you get vibrations. And I think this is one of the reasons why most people have vibrations with these things. If you look into forums, Volvo, Ford, Focus, things like that, people complaining that they have vibrations with new drive shafts, and that's because this thing is missing. It fits perfectly fine on a manual gearbox, but not on an automatic gearbox. You need that extra larger diameter to support the drive shaft, because I think the seal ring on the manual is here, and that's all supported inside, because these grooves are for keeping the oil inside if you drive forward, whereas the automatic doesn't have anything because there is no oil coming out. It's all dry with the automatic, and that's the reason why it was so hard to get out. It took me ages to get the thing out because it was all corroded, and you can see there is some considerable wear on the spline as well, so it was running dry. Anyway, we decided to go with this one, check dimensions again, and if it does fit, so if I get it in with the spacer, I make the spacer first. If I get it in with a spacer and it clicks, that's the most important thing. You need to get that snap ring into the groove. So I'm going to check dimensions carefully, and if they okay, we use this one. Otherwise I'm going to have another angry email. So that's number 3 now, which isn't the right one. Well, hopefully we can make it right. My concern is still that the joint itself is about 10 millimeters further out, but looking at the other joint, it's a bit longer, so it might be okay. The mass, the weight is further out. If that's any good or not, I don't know. It certainly puts extra stress on the output bearings of the transmission, but we have to live with it, because I need to get the wheel ends for these, and then I'm going to refurbish them, because they are original Volvo, and they're certainly better, I think. These are just Chinese knockoffs, whereas the quality of this one, the last one I got, this one is from Titan Automotive Parts in London. Next day delivery. Yeah, quick delivery, but it doesn't reflect the picture, because their picture showed this, but what I got was this one, and I certainly have to write them an email, but we can live with that, because I need to get the car together. I need it, and it's on the jack stands for a week now, just because of people who don't know what they're selling. Anyway, so let's take dimensions, make a spacer, and try to fit it. So we found a piece of stainless, just faced it off, and now we're going to sand it with it and just go through with it with the biggest roll we find, and then we'll machine it. The reason why I use stainless is because the wall thickness is only 0.75, I think. Yeah, it's very thin wall. I don't have any tube or pipe which has the right dimensions, so we're gonna make it from stainless. So just make that 15 millimeters, drill it, turn it to the right diameter, 28 inner, 31 outer, and then we should be good to go. Oh, we're just drilling the hole. We did the outer diameter in the meantime. So be careful, it's stainless. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. It just doesn't rust, so I know it's stainless. Let the 2mm come out with a boring bar. It's a bit noisy. It's a bit noisy because the grind on this drill is a bit strange, but it does the job. So we had 24mm. This stuff is tough, but it's good to machine. Okay, so let's get that to 28. Let's just do with a boring bar. So we had 27.97. We're gonna wait a minute until this is cold, and then maybe doing another 1 or 2 spring passes. But at the moment it's still warm, so wait a minute, and then we check it again. And if it's gonna be smaller, so we do another spring pass and then we go. So here we have it. Can't really touch it, it's a bit hot. You got parting off on this lathe is really hit and miss because it's so flexy. You gotta be really careful. And this material is tough as well, so let's get it off. As soon as I can touch it, still pretty hot, and deburr it and see how it fits. So here we have it. It's a snug fit, and we measured the distance from the ring, from the end of the ring groove to here, same here, and we are the same distance, plus minus 2/10 or something like that. That's alright. So I think we put a dab of Loctite in it, just to make sure it stays in place and doesn't rotate, because it shouldn't, because everything rotates and there is an O-ring on this one here. So that's what it is. Let me take it off. So that's all it needs. It's 28 inner diameter, 27.97 or something like that, 98, because the shaft is not exactly 28, and 31 outer diameter, and that replicates this larger diameter here, which seats into a bore in the gearbox. I rounded this end off, approximately the same as over there. It's just getting, so it's a lot of play here, but it's getting a bit tough here, so that's what we want. Alright, tomorrow I'll show you how the thing looks in the gearbox and why this is important. So we're back on our drive shaft, and this is why you need that spacer which goes here. There's an O-ring, so it goes in a little bit hard, but there is an O-ring inside, so that needs greasing. I checked it, it fits, it does fit. Here you go, so it goes in, and that closes the gap so no water can go into the gearbox or into the spline, because if you got too much water in there you get corrosion, and when you try to get the drive shaft out you got the same problem as I had. It took me ages to get that thing out because it was so stuck, probably causing vibration as well. I don't know, this side was vibrating like hell, but I think it was the bolt joint mainly, and also the drive shaft boot was broken, so it was slinging grease around everywhere. Okay, so I decided not to Loctite it on. I just push it over, grease the whole thing, and then hopefully it goes in this ring. It's a bit large, but yeah, well, let's grease it up, and then you just push it in until it snaps, and if it's solid, you're lucky. If not, you got trouble. When the old silky smooth, so it's sitting in the gearbox now, and it's flush. Okay, that's what we want. Great. Okay, so let's grease the spline, and then put the strut in. With grease it goes in really nice. You're gonna find where the spline starts and then just push it in. So if you make it long and then just give it a whack by hand, no hammers required. On the old one, the cup had some hammer marks, so I think someone hammered on that thing. God knows why. Okay, so we need to grease that spline. Make sure the wheel bearing is clean, and then we just put it on. So that's the clamp for the drive shaft, and it almost looks like the bearing has been rotating. Feels like, don't know. So yeah, we brushed it a bit down and give it a lick of paint, and then there's no fence on this side, so otherwise you can't get the drive shaft out. There's only a fence on the rear, but the cover has two fences, so that goes onto the drive shaft. We're gonna check if that fits before we actually put the drive shaft in, just to make sure we're not trapped again, because we had so much fun with this drive shaft. So we just double check dimensions, because I don't trust these guys anymore. So this is the outer side here. Don't know if that makes a difference, but where the groove is out. That was the groove on the old bearing. The new one doesn't have one. It's roundish. This is square. Well, it does fit. That's all we need. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it goes in here, sits here, and then you probably can see it at the far end. I greased the splines. Yeah, there is an O-ring, so it feels a bit spongy when you put it in, but it doesn't matter. All we want is some wear protection on the splines. So let me put that in. You just need to fill it in and put the clamp on top, and then it sits there. You can't really film it because everything is in the way here. So let me put it in and we'll show it in. Oh, and then just use a small socket wrench and make it finger tight. Don't tighten it up fully, because the bracket needs to seat properly, and at the moment it's not. I know it's probably not visible, but here we are. That's where the socket is, and then just anyway, it's pointless. It's just wrenching. Well, it looks like it's gonna fit, but the outer joint is a bit sticky. Maybe it just needs a few miles, but don't know if I like that. But that's what it is. You get what you pay for. They just don't feel like quality drive shafts. I can't tell you what it is. It's just a feel thing. Always use new bolts. They're stretch bolts. I think it's 20 something Newton meters and 90 degrees. If you reuse them, they're already stretched, and that's what I did on the other side. As far as I can tell from what I've seen, they replaced the damper because it was a different one. The left one was a gas and the right one was just a normal oil damper, or there is no more gas left in the right hand one, I don't know. But the left hand has been replaced, and the screw was strange. It was really hard to get out, and I think it was already stretched, so they reused the bolt, and you could see the bearing had some marks of moving, so this surface was rubbing on the bearing because it was loose, causing issues obviously. Anyway, we got it in. we torqued it up 25 Newton meters or so. I did a double check, I just tightened it up with 25, and so now the strut, I think we put a dab of grease on that one as well, or maybe we should just spray it down with the wax when we finished. Alright, let's put the strut in.